Hi, and welcome to SCW, the wrestling channel here on YouTube.com. You may be listening as well on podcast form on Spotify, Apple, and of course, multiple other choices as well. Thank you for joining us for This Week in Wrestling. We're back once again talking all the biggest talking points over the last 7 days, featuring WWE, NXT, AEW, and much, much more. I'm joined in the hot seat by George Jones. George, how are you doing?
I'm very well. It's Friday again. It's great to be here chatting wrestling again. How are you this week?
Yeah, it's really good to be chatting wrestling once again. Like I said, it's good. Yeah, I'm pretty good this week. I think the last time we spoke, it'd been very hot this end. It's thankfully cooled down a bit. So the temperature's dropping. We're starting to get into that autumn season. Wrestling, of course, taking that direction as well. We're going into Clash of Champions for WWE. All Out is coming up this weekend as well. So lots of things to get discussing about. Later on, would like to get your thoughts as well on All Out, if you don't mind. But
Yeah,
just to
that'd be
kick
fun.
things off, we've had some big breaking news over the last 24 hours. Three wrestlers, two of them former wrestlers, have announced about coronavirus, that they'd actually caught it, but thankfully have come through the other side. The Rock and his family, AJ Styles actually announced on his Twitch that he'd actually suffered at one point from coronavirus, and as well, Kevin Nash was another one as well. All look to have come through the other side, although Kevin Nash, his wife, apparently still doesn't have her senses of smell and taste, which is a shame, but hopefully that does come back soon. We wish everyone the best and speediest of recoveries. Glad that everyone's on the other side. Just a reminder, ladies and gents, that COVID still is going on. We need to be sensible. We need to keep that social distancing, wear our masks where necessary, and yeah, we have to wish everyone all the best, because this is such a horrible disease and just, unfortunately, a harsh reminder of what we're going through in 2020, but very relieved to hear that everyone has says they're coming up the other side and all looking to be okay, which is the most important thing. But we're going to kick things off properly with SmackDown this week, because SmackDown actually is the show this evening. WWE have actually announced quite a lot ahead of time on the show this evening, so quite a lot to look forward to. We've got, of course, a brand new Universal Champion, Roman Reigns, and now he is, of course, aligned with Paul Heyman. They're going to be having a segment this evening on SmackDown, and well, we haven't really got your thoughts on the alignment with Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman, so I thought we could kick off with asking that from you, George.
Yeah, I think it's genius. I think it really elevates Roman Reigns. Nobody saw it coming, literally, and it really solidifies him as a heel. I think it's great. I think it's a great partnership, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do. It's exciting. It was definitely a wow moment for me at the end of last week's SmackDown.
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely felt like it came out of nowhere, and I just love the way that they both said each other's lines. I thought it was really, really well done, to be honest. And with the pay-per-view as well, what were your thoughts with Roman Reigns? Of course, his delay tactics coming in, quite an opportunist.
Yeah, I like it. You're giving the fans a reason to hate him already, which is a really good start. It's a strong build, and obviously his first match back, winning the title. It's great to see him back with a belt, but I'm so happy that he's a heel now instead of a babyface. It's just great to see it finally.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something we've wanted for years. I know for you, I mean, me and you've discussed for a lot of the time, you've always been saying how good it would be for Roman Reigns to be heel, and now he's aligned with Paul Heyman as well, someone who arguably can do such a great promo as well. It's very exciting to see, and we should learn who is going to be the challenger for the Universal Championship. Easy for me to say this evening on SmackDown Live. We've got a fatal four-way to determine the number one contender. The competitors that are going to be involved for that are Big E, Matt Riddle, King Corbin, and Sheamus. We're probably looking here and probably feeling to ourselves that we're probably looking at maybe having one of the two baby faces, I would imagine, in that spot. So I'm going to put you on the spot here, George. Would you see Matt Riddle as the challenger, or do you think that Big E could be the guy that could finally get a Universal Championship match?
I think the push he's been on has been great. He's definitely destined for bigger things. It seems a bit soon for me for Big E. I'd like to see it, but I do think Big E Roman Reigns could work. I think Sheamus and Roman Reigns could work as well. I think I'm just surprised they've gone to this kind of direction when you thought the natural rematch would have probably been Roman Reigns and the Fiend. But it's great to see them different.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I was surprised about that as well, the fact that the Fiend has kind of been held off for the time being. I'm guessing maybe they could put that towards Hell in a Cell. Maybe they probably have a bigger feud going into the winter season with these guys. And it also makes you believe that there's probably a potential that with the draft that neither of those guys will be separated. The fact that they're holding this feud off, you'd think maybe they would rush the feud if they were going to, perhaps look to separate these guys later down the line. So, but yeah, I'm with you. I perhaps feel it's a bit soon for Big E. I think they are jumping in the deep end. But the only thing is Matt Riddle's only been on SmackDown for a number of weeks. Like you say, Sheamus could be someone. He's actually played the tweener role of late. I think we can rule out King Corbin as it's heel versus heel there, and I don't think that would quite work. I will stick my neck out. I think Big E's going to get the opportunity. And the reason I say that is because of the fact, yes, it's jumping the gun, but I think WWE wants to give the fans what they want. And I think they've seen a lot of outcry for Big E to get that push. Maybe he could lose on this first opportunity, and maybe he gets another opportunity as we go towards WrestleMania, where he's more seasoned and more ready and more used to that main event area. Do you reckon it could be more of like, if Big E was to win, it could be kind of testing the waters?
I think it's a good test, but then I think if WWE are clever, there's always a chance maybe this ends in a no contest by interference and there's nobody that wins it. That's another route. But out of all the candidates, definitely Big E's the one. But it is very soon, and I think this is a match clearly that Roman Reigns isn't going to lose. So it's almost like for me, it's just a filler pay-per-view match, really.
Yeah, that's the thing. It does feel like it's more filler. It certainly feels like a September pay-per-view match rather than giving your WrestleMania or SummerSlam kind of rematch at this sort of stage. But as well as that, we do have a rematch that is announced for this evening as well on SmackDown. We've got the Women's Tag Team Championships. We've got Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax going to be defending against the former champions Bayley and Sasha Banks. How do we see this one playing out?
I think the new champions that have to win. I'm a fan really of hot potato champions retain. I really think this is a great start of a way to further elevate the breakdown between sort of the two ex-women's champions, if that makes sense. I think it's going to be great to see that feud finally pay off. But this is going to be exciting. I thought the first match they had this past Sunday at Payback was excellent as well. But for me, I think Sasha Banks and Bayley, they need to start building forward that singles feud now.
It feels like the right time, doesn't it? It feels that maybe there could be something this evening that could happen once again, just to really cause more friction between the two. Maybe we can finally start pushing on. I'm kind of with you. There is that chance that maybe there could be, like you say, that the champions could lose the belts quite quickly, have their feud, Sasha and Bayley delay things further. But I feel like a lot of fans are ready. I feel the time is now with that. I'm kind of on your side. I think that Nia and Shayna retain, and I think they start pushing on then. They've got the right squad to concern themselves with, probably at Clash of Champions. So, and we're mentioning Clash of Champions already. It feels like that card is starting to come together quite nicely, quite quickly. We know, of course, we've got Drew McIntyre against Randy Orton. That is confirmed after this week on Raw. What were your thoughts of that match being put place for this pay-per-view?
I like the last match I had, so I think it's interesting. But for me, it's all about Randy Orton getting his revenge this time round. So title, I think this is Randy's best opportunity. The only thing I can't quite figure out with the booking is why Randy Orton's losing to Keith Lee one week and then he's in the world title picture the next. It's strange, but for me, I think Randy Orton's going to be next world champion.
It does feel like a classic 50-50 booking, doesn't it, at this particular time period? And, of course, it's a classic WWE, isn't it? They lose on the pay-per-view. They become the number one contender the next night on Raw. But Randy Orton, I suppose, he's such a seasoned veteran. He's put Keith Lee over big style this past week. And, of course, he's got his reward for doing so by now having another championship match. And we mentioned Keith Lee there quite quickly as well. I mean, Keith Lee, he seems to be very popular amongst the WWE ranks already, despite maybe a change of music and attire. It felt that Keith at least had gone back to his shorts this past week anyway. His ring attire was almost similar, just now has that top on over the top instead of being bare-chested. But it feels like Keith Lee, though, is going to be going places. Of course, he had a great match with Dolph Ziggler this week, dominated that. And it just feels that Keith Lee, he's already in and around that championship picture. I feel that the future is very bright for him. Yeah,
definitely. He's up there with the fat type of people. I thought the Dolph match this week was a bit of a throwaway. I don't get why he was facing Dolph. He's he's just beat Randy Orton, so Dolph was just too easy for him, really. But I definitely think there's bigger things destined for him. I could see him sort of challenging Randy Orton maybe quite soon after. Probably maybe Hell in a Cell as well, potentially.
I have to wait and see what goes down the line. We've mentioned Monday Night Raw, so let's keep on the Raw theme just for the minute. The IIconics split up this week, which I think was to shock of many of the definitely the WWE fan base, and certainly was an outcry on Twitter about it. And it seemed quite a shock that the losing team, when they lost to the Right Squad, would break up. Of course, the women's tag team division is kind of bare thin as it is, but there are rumours that Peyton Royce is on course for a singles push. Would you be a fan of seeing that?
Yeah, I think it could work. Clearly, she has got some great talent. I think this IIconics thing's kind of gone stale a bit, so I was quite happy to see him split. I think the person that I do worry about would be the partner of Peyton and Roy. Sorry, her name's gone now. I think sort of that's the one I'd kind of worry about. I think Peyton's going to be all right. It's just the partner really that I worry what she's going to do really.
Yeah, absolutely. Billy Kay, of course,
That's
one you're referring to there.
Yeah.
And that's totally fine. I mean, she's probably going to be spending the rest of her tenure in catering, sadly. But I don't understand why she couldn't have been the best friend still and someone that's almost like the manager role, really, because we don't really get enough managers in WWE. And I think that Billy Kay does have a natural charisma on the mic, perhaps maybe not the strongest as an in-ring performer. But do you think that maybe they are stronger together? Because, I mean, of course, like you say, Peyton Royce, there is some strength there. But I don't see her as someone believable to beat the likes of a Charlotte Flair to beat an Oscar. Do you see that, or do you think that she's just sort of challenger at best?
I think the trouble is they've got this comedy act down and this comedy routine. So despite being a fantastic wrestler, she is a great wrestler, Peyton Royce. I just think they need to give her a much more serious gimmick for me. I think the comedy has held her back, and the way they're losing matches, particularly to the Riot Squad and stuff, it's not great. It's not great really when you look at where the squad have been, really, in my opinion.
No, absolutely not. But we will move on in the meantime, and we're going to talk about that group that we like to talk about from time to time, Retribution. Now, I must admit, I've got to the stage with them now. This is the rumours that we've had come out of them this week before we go into personal feelings. But they're now going to be exclusive, according to Fightful, on the Raw brand going forward. So all the work they did on SmackDown seems to have gone to nothing. They will continue on Raw. They're not on pay-per-views. They've never featured on NXT either. The fact that they're going to be Raw exclusive probably rules out the idea of Roman Reigns being a leader, because a few people had this conception that because Roman wasn't around on times that they showed up, and then when Roman was there, they didn't show up. But it doesn't look like that's going to have anything to do with that, unfortunately. But there has been rumours as well that backstage, even some people, I think we mentioned this last week, are already growing sour on the Retribution storyline. So it's not just some of the fan base. There has been fears that maybe this angle could even be dropped. I really hope that they don't drop it, because of the fact that you look at it and say that when it comes to WWE angles, you would almost suggest that, if they keep doing things where they break things off halfway through, like the Hacker, for example, you look and say, well, how are we supposed to invest in a new storyline when you look and see that, they're cutting things off halfway through? But at the same time, if something's really not connecting, how is the best way that they conclude a storyline if they were to kind of rush finish it?
Yeah, I think the thing with it, as we said, is there's so many sort of half-hearted efforts with this storyline. You look at it when they come in sort of totally wrong. They announce a tweet, they come in, they debut doing nothing on the first time they're there. They then cut up SmackDown, which was fantastic. It gets everybody talking, everybody exciting. They then start attacking people. But then this is where it gets silly. You're then having them, there's 12 of them at 1 minute, there's 6 the next, and then you look at them doing, it's almost like on Raw they have been doing next to nothing. And even when they took over the truck the other week, there was no real purpose to it. It took the show off air for 2 seconds, and there's no further development. And I think the real problem I've had with it since the start is the people they're attacking are not anybody, and there's no follow-up. So they attacked the Mysterios. I know Ray's injured now, but there's no follow-up the week next. For me, I think where the trouble is with this is WWE clearly don't know what they're doing. They had no real leader planned out as far as we can tell. And for me, they've just made a lot of mistakes. It's gone from some that was really exciting to now just being boring. My only hope and positive on this, with them being on Raw only, is that the stuff they were doing on SmackDown originally, they may do that on Raw now. But for me, it's pretty obvious kind of looking at it where it's kind of going. It looks to be Dijakovic, Mia Yim, we can confirm. We're also probably looking at potentially Chelsea Green as well. You throw in the odd Mercedes Martinez. This to me looks like an NXT invasion ready for this kind of Survivor Series. And the whole background of why they're doing what they're doing just doesn't make any sense, really. I think it wouldn't surprise me, but this is so wishy-washy. Demi Burnett to be revealed as the leader or some crap like that, because ultimately she debuted the same time as them. Raw Underground debuted the same time as them. It's all kind of gone a bit crazy since then, though. I'm definitely intrigued in your thoughts, Stephen, kind of what they've done so far with it.
I kind of feel that with Retribution that you look at them as a stable, and like you said, they had moments on SmackDown where there were some good moments, and I kind of felt myself that I wanted them to be SmackDown exclusive because it seemed to make sense. But like you say, with the likes of Mia Yim, Keith Lee's real-life partner, she's involved. Dijakovic was rumoured to be on Raw as of months ago. Chelsea Green, I think, was the same as well, rumoured for Raw. So, I mean, for these sort of people to be involved in this stable and they're going to be on the Raw side, that kind of feels like a natural fit. They'd have another hour to work with as well for TV time. But looking at the actual angle itself, I just feel like it's fallen flat. And I think that the main problem with it is that it's lacking purpose and meaning. And without that purpose and meaning, you cannot really build a storyline on it. I mean, of course, they can attack people, attack things. They can do some cool visuals like chainsawing some ring ropes and destroying an arena. But at the same time, if you're not doing it for a reason, then what's the point? It just feels a bit kind of wishy-washy. Superstars 1 week don't know whether to defend the locker room. Then the next week they kind of just leave or, send people to the wolves. There's not that unity on the Raw roster like there was on the SmackDown roster. They don't seem to take it as seriously or don't seem to feel as threatened. Sometimes certain people do, and it's the first time the commentary table actually run away on Raw this week, where they hadn't done previously. SmackDown did a runner every single week with Cole and Graves. They had no reason to ever stick around. So, like you said, it just lacks continuity, and it lacks this idea of doing something, unique and special that makes them stand out from other factions. This feels like another, it's going to be another whodunit, and then they're going to be revealed, and it almost just feels like then it's just going to wash away in a couple of months, and I think that's really sad to see. I feel that this could be like another Nexus, but where Nexus had a very successful opening, perhaps lacked a bit of middle and end where WWE couldn't continue that storyline. It feels like this storyline is lacking from the very beginning, and I think that's what really hurts it, and it wouldn't surprise me to see it dropped entirely.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think all the points you make are kind of spot. There's no real leader. WWE haven't put somebody up the roster as far as we can see to lead this. And so when they do reveal it, I don't know how it's going to make any sense to me. This is probably going to go the same way as the Hacker. There's a lot of promise, but for me, I don't know how they make any sense of it. And the fact you're not willing to put these guys on a pay-per-view, which is your biggest audience potentially. People may not watch Raw or SmackDown every week. They've got the pay-per-view audience, yet you're not willing to put the angle out there. It's just so pathetic, really. I just really hope that something salvages this. But for me, I'd actually stop the angle now. And if there was an idea for like a leader down the line that was going to be revealed with a new character, like a babyface turning, just relaunch that heel. That babyface is a heel really now, I'd say. I think the damage, let's do this with more damage really to the product.
Yeah, I would agree. There seems to be just a shame from it overall, that it just seems to have lacked that direction. And it just feels like you say, it's almost now time to just give something away, because that's the only way you can salvage this. But if it was sort of NXT, guys, and like you say, you could perhaps build towards maybe a Survivor Series, maybe. It's another way of bringing NXT involved again, if it's like an NXT invasion kind of angle, and they've just started it earlier. I suppose that could be some sort of interest. But then what happens to those superstars that are meant to have been, kind of called up afterwards? It would kind of almost lack a little bit of integrity as well. But we will. Is there anything more you want to touch on, actually, because it links very nicely into our next story?
No. Let's move on. I think I've said enough about Retribution.
That's all right, not a problem at all. But I think it actually moves in nice, actually, because NXT are featured in Survivor Series again this year, by the looks of things, and usually have the TakeOver the night before. Well, actually, this year, TakeOver's been moved. We're not going to have a TakeOver in front of Survivor Series for the first time in a number of years. In fact, NXT TakeOver is actually going to be moved to December the 6th. So I think that this is a positive step in a number of different directions, purely because if you've got War Games the night before and then you're facing Raw and SmackDown the next night, it does make the Raw and SmackDown roster look weak if they're actually meant to be facing, some of those guys, and then NXT actually wins. It just doesn't make Raw and SmackDown look very good. So from that perspective, I like that it's a change, but there's actually no real direction either. We know we've got an NXT TakeOver in October as well, so we don't know which one is going to be War Games and what the other one's going to be. Could we see a potential either Halloween Havoc in October or a Starrcade in December? Would you like to see any of those pay-per-view names come back for an NXT TakeOver?
I'd love to see. Okay, as much as it's got some great history, I don't see WWE or NXT doing that as such. I think it's too close to WWE's greatest moments, which you don't really like plugging. But I'd love to see a Halloween Havoc. I think that could really fit with kind of some of the stuff that's going on NXT. I think, let's hope they do that.
Fingers crossed. It would be fun to have something nostalgic going on in there. But speaking of NXT, we can also mention NXT UK. They're actually making a relaunch starting next week. And there's a lot of breaking news that's come out in the last 24 hours based on that. Of course, they can't actually do a show in front of fans. And of course, their home on English TV is actually on BT Sports. So BT have actually made them a studio, which looks pretty cool. If anyone wants to check it out, we can't actually show it on this particular podcast, sadly. But what we can do is we can suggest suggest you to go and look at Alex McCarthy's Twitter page. He's actually had some exclusive looks and reveals with regards to that, with what the setting would look, and also what the new theme music for the show will be. So I recommend you to go and check out Alex McCarthy on Twitter. As well as that, also, we are aware that Shawn Michaels apparently has done the majority of the booking solo, which I think is very interesting. It'd be good to see what his twists and turns and feelings are with him out of the roster. I know that he is meant to be a big fan of Jordan Devlin, so I wonder if that will do him some favours with him actually coming back into the mix. As well as that, also, Nigel McGuinness, who had been furloughed by WWE, of course, in the Black Wednesday, the April 15 releases, Nigel McGuinness will be making his return on the commentary table for NXT UK, so that's really exciting news as well. And last but not least, there will be an NXT UK takeover, and that is expected to be, I believe, on October the 4th, if I'm not mistaken, is the date it's going to be for that. So that will be on the weekend at the start of October. I'm really excited for the prospect of NXT UK coming back, particularly a takeover. I know that it was due to have a takeover originally in October, which had obviously been taken away from fans. But no, I think it's going to be exciting to have the likes of Mustache Mountain, Tony Storm, Ilya Dragunov. You look forward to having all these guys back?
Yeah, it's really positive. I'm really, really happy to see the takeover or NXT UK come back. I think wait to see Nigel McGuinness back again. I felt he was commentators in the whole of WWE, so seeing him back is great. And the fact that BT Sport are endorsing them, I think that's a great fit. Looking forward to seeing what they do with Shawn Michaels' booking, as you said. For me, I'm most excited about seeing Walter back because everything I've seen from Walter so far, I've really enjoyed.
Yeah, I mean, he's been a stand-up performer, and I know WWE would love to have had him on the main roster, but he's intent on staying in Europe. He does not want to leave those shores, and you can't blame him for that, and especially with the current situation going on in the world right now. But he was adamant on that before, and he's a strong champion, has had some great matches with the likes of Pete Dunne, Tyler Bates, and Pete Dunne's an interesting name as well. Could you see him being back in NXT UK, as we've not seen him in the main NXT for, well over 6 months now?
I think that's a very good shout. You've got to be doing something with him because I can't believe it's been that long since he's been in NXT. I'm surprised.
Yeah, I mean, I think he obviously wasn't involved since the pandemic started. So, yeah, it's getting on 6 months now. It's crazy to believe that it's been that long without Pete Dunne on our screens. And, of course, he didn't even lose the NXT Tag Team Championships when he was a part of that championship-winning team. So, yeah, it'll be good to have him back in the mix if he is to return on this particular stage. But as well as that, we talk about NXT and NXT itself. It's going to be very interesting. There could be moving nights going forward. Of course, we had Super Tuesday this week, and we'll start off by talking about Super Tuesday. And of course, with the NXT Vacant Championship that was supposed to be won in the Iron Man match, the 60-man Iron Man match between Finn Balor, Adam Cole, Tommaso Ciampa, and Johnny Gargano. It was a draw after the hour, so we know we're going to have a match now next week between Finn Balor and Adam Cole to determine the champion. What were your thoughts on this? Were you happy with the 60-man Iron Man match, or was you a bit lackluster, feeling that after a whole hour of TV that we got a draw?
I thought it was very good. I thought it was so well done. Everybody came out with credit. I just enjoyed it, really. It was going to win. I really like the way they built it up. Looking forward to the match next week. I think the only thing I didn't really kind of like was it was really weird kind of in the match. People like Ciampa were almost doing like babyface type moves when they're heel, and Balor was almost doing like heel moves as well. But it's small things. But for the hour they did, I felt all the wrestlers did really, really well. I can only imagine the amount of effort and work that went into that match.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I like as well, there was minimal falls. There was only 6 falls in the whole hour. And it was almost like, I think it was only 1 fall in the first 35 minutes of the match. So that really screams that these people can go. And that it kind of felt believable that falls were coming more and more as the hour went on, rather than having 12 falls spread over the whole thing. It was it felt like everyone came out with credit, like you said, and I think that was really well built. Looking forward then to Finn Balor and Adam Cole, do you see we're obviously going to have a new champion, but do you see Finn Balor as the NXT champion for the first time in a number of years, or do you see the belt now going back to Adam Cole?
I think if we look at it, I think last time they was back in December. Adam Cole obviously got the win there. And I think for this time, for me, it has to be Finn Balor. I really would love to see Finn Balor as champion. I think if Adam Cole's got the belt back, it's just deja vu, as we said on last week's podcast. So for me, I think this match is going to be great. They're going to get him amount of time to do something. We may get some sort of screw job finish, but for me, Finn Balor, I think, needs to be your new NXT World Champion.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with that. I don't see any issues with that whatsoever. So, it's really fun. As well as that, with NXT, then we mentioned it could be moving evenings. They had a very successful TV rating. I believe they had about 845,000 viewers, which is the second highest, I believe, this year behind one of their August shows. And it looks like NXT now finally could actually be moving nights, and the Wednesday Night Wars could be finishing. What would be your thoughts of NXT moving to a Tuesday on a permanent basis?
I'd be a fan of that. I think there's so much wrestling to watch on a Wednesday night, and these wars, and at least a fan opportunity to watch kind of different days of wrestling like throughout the week now. Definitely a fan of it. I think it's the right move. Clearly, I don't think NXT are going to be able to catch AEW at the moment. So rather than sort of further carrying this war that's getting nowhere and lose face, it makes sense to move. But so I'm a big fan of it. I think this really could help with potential storylines going on to Raw to NXT. There could be a nice carryover, particularly when we go into Survivor Series and stuff like that, where you could have the next night after Raw and instant TV products follow on, really.
Yeah, that's a good point you make there, especially going into Survivor Series, and it would be good to have the Raw and NXT rivalry. And like you said, I mean, for me as a UK viewer, just like yourself, like you kind of feel to yourself, well, you know, we can't watch two shows when it's on like 1 o'clock in the morning till like 5 o'clock in the morning. That's insane. You know, even to watch one show during our period is quite a struggle. So the next day, to try and avoid spoilers with both shows going on and with those people having to go to work, it does feel like a bit of a struggle. It's a much more, I suppose, of a luxury for perhaps an American audience who have, you know, the primetime TV can flick between the channels, and if they're feeling daring, they can watch the second show at 10 p.m. after the other one before going to bed, and having that whole evening's worth of entertainment filled in. It's a lot tougher for our markets. So for me, I would be much in favour of the change. It sort of would feel less heavy, especially when it comes to a Thursday. Usually it feels very heavy to watch both shows. So I would be in favour of them changing it around and mixing it up. I think that with NXT, it would be nice for it to be on a Tuesday evening. So I personally think that would be awesome. I don't know if there's anything more we could add really to Super Tuesday, apart from a little bit of a change in the commentary table.
Yeah, just a little bit of a change, definitely.
Absolutely. Well, it's been announced, of course, this week there's been a mutual parting of the ways. Marlo Ronaldo, sadly, no longer with WWE. And, of course, he's been involved with some of NXT's best moments. He's so passionate and connects so well with the fans and with, obviously, the superstars in the company. I feel that Marlo Ronaldo is going to be a great miss.
It's a real shame. I think he's done a sterling job that's sort of in the commentary position. It's a big loss to WWE. I think, obviously, considering all the stuff that happened with Corey Graves previously, the way that Mauro bounced back and has been pretty sort of relentless, his work's been stellar. It's a massive loss. But, I thank him for his work. I really enjoyed watching him commentate.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been fantastic, even for his SmackDown days as well. And he's always been very active on social media as well. He likes to interact with the fan base. He certainly has interacted with us here at SCW from time to time. So, we thank Mara for all his work he's put into WWE. And it certainly has been exciting to watch the passion he's put into the product over the last number of years. Do you think that we could see him somewhere else, somewhere down the line, perhaps in New Japan, maybe in AEW, maybe in Impact? Could you see someone perhaps maybe getting Mara in on perhaps a pay-per-view or a weekly basis?
Never say never. I think the thing is, when something you love is gone, he clearly loves commentating. I think you never know. It depends how much, if there's any hatred there. Up in Japan again, he's obviously done that before. So no, never say never. But I do expect to see him back one day. It's only probably sort of when you're good at something, it makes sense not to kind of stop doing it, really.
Absolutely, no, totally indeed. And of course, he's still got his boxing and his MMA stuff as well that he's got in the meantime. But certainly there may just be that itch to go back and commentate and do wrestling. Of course, he said that it's been a dream of his to do so. And like you say, he's had previous with New Japan. He's now done WWE. It certainly would be interesting to see if he was to be with another company at some point down the line. But Wade Barrett, of course, has been involved on Super Tuesday as well. And he's already commented on his Twitter account. He said, well, after an amazing 60-man Ironman match, and it comes to the championship match next week, he's not missing this one. It feels that Barrett could be here to stay. There's been certainly a lot of rumours going around suggesting that he could be a full-time member of the commentary table in NXT going forward. What would be your thoughts with that?
I'm a big fan. I think he brings a big feel to it. I really like his work hour, and I think him in WWE is a great fit. He's got so much history to be able to give, and he certainly gives the matches. He makes them look differently. I think in certain parts his commentary is almost magical. Really, I really enjoy his work.
Absolutely, indeed. No, I agree. I think he's got great work, and I think that he does definitely add a lot. I love the fact he just has a credible edge with his commentary, and everything just has a hint of realism, like as a commentator, but he also feels like a fan of certain superstars when he's watching. And I don't know, he's got interesting insights that's very different to a lot of people and what they offer on the table. So I'm a big fan of Wade Barrett's work at this particular stage. I hope that it becomes a permanent fixture, and I hope that we have Wade Barrett a part of the NXT commentary team going forward. I think him, Vic Joseph, and Beth Phoenix have done great work in gelling in such a short time. So I do hope that that continues going forward. But also to look at things just on a slightly different scale as well, we mentioned about people leaving in Marlo Ronaldo. Brock Lesnar is reportedly a free agent at the moment. So what will be Brock Lesnar's next move? There's been lots of speculation this week if he goes back into the world of MMA. A couple of people suggested, will he go to AEW? I don't see that one happening personally. Even Chris Jericho has said that he's not sure of the value of having Brock Lesnar at this stage. That was reported over the last 24 hours. But if you go with WrestleVotes, and WrestleVotes are very trustworthy, it's more of a case of Brock Lesnar that he will contact Vince when he is ready to work, and Vince will get in touch with Brock and give him an offer he can't refuse when they want Brock Lesnar. So it feels that Brock will come back to WWE. I sort of feel there's no point at the moment without fans. There's no real value in having him right now. But I think there's still work to be done. There's still a need to have Brock Lesnar in WWE. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I think you're spot on. As I said, we don't see him in AEW. I think the financial costs don't outweigh what he's going to bring. For me, UFC's probably been and gone. I know when he was in UFC, apparently his wife, Sable, wasn't happy, particularly following his match, Shane Carwin. And I think for me, he's a WWE wrestler, really, so it's only a matter of time before he's back. But it definitely has to be with the fans. And for me, he's got enough money, really, so if he never did come back again, you could kind of understand it. But I think Vince will get him back. I can't see him going anywhere else. A massive financial underhaul. And I know Tony Khan is one of the wealthiest people in the world, but what's it really going to do to your ratings, really? Brock Lesnar comes in, he does one match for 5 minutes, and then that's it. I just don't see them in everything they've bought so far with hiring Brock Lesnar on the kind of away, really.
No, absolutely. And funny you mentioned Tony Khan, because we'll be touching on him in a minute and going on to AEW. But no, I agree. I think there's still some matches there for Brock Lesnar in WWE if he was to come back. I think Keith Lee is one. Certainly we'd love to see him against The Fiend at some stage. But putting over, the younger talent, the next generation, I think Brock could do that. The likes of Big E, the likes of Matt Riddle. Not that I could see that match ever taking place, Riddle and Lesnar, if I'm being honest. But there certainly is... potentials if they were to do stuff going forward. But we mentioned Tony Khan, so let's go on to AEW. And of course, he's had his conference call. He's been talking, of course, now with the promotion going into All Out this weekend. And he's come up with quite the controversial statement this week. And he said that Double or Nothing kicked WrestleMania's ass. Now, what are your thoughts on that? Which for you was the better show? Did you prefer WrestleMania or did you prefer Double or Nothing?
I'm going to have to say WrestleMania. I think the Boneyard match for me was one of the matches of the year. I know WrestleMania did have some sort of questionable matches, but they're two totally different things. You can't say you're better than WrestleMania when you've only been in existence for about a year. For me, it's a brand positivity and confidence. I like it. It's almost like sending out shots, isn't it? Let's be fair.
Absolutely. It shows that, to be fair, Tony Khan should be proud of his brand, should be proud of AEW. And of course, like you said, the two very different shows. Yes, they're both wrestling, but they, different stages, different settings during this pandemic as well. Both were kind of, at one point, AEW was forced to be in QT Marshall's gym, and they were just able to get to Daily's place in time. It was actually, touch or go if Double or Nothing was going to go ahead at one point. Same with WrestleMania. They kind of felt what was going to happen, but the show must go on, as Jerry Lawler famously said, and of course was made into a great 24 series as well. If anyone hasn't gone and seen it, go and check it out on WWE Network now. It's really, really good, that documentary going into WrestleMania. But I, for me, would say WrestleMania as well, just purely because the lineage, the history, like you said, the Boneyard match, the history of the fact of being Undertaker's last match, particularly night one, it flowed very nicely. It felt very good. There were some solid matches. And to be fair, both cards, I think, were fantastic.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with either WrestleMania or Double or Nothing. So for me, I'm going to pick, as my preference was WrestleMania, but both shows were stellar anyway. But Tony Khan does go on also to say that he does believe that there will be, within the next year, a second AEW show. It will not be AEW Dark. That will remain on YouTube. So what are the chances are that he's going to put it purposely to go against NXT?
Oh, sorry, Steve, you broke up then.
Sorry about that. We'll go back on it. I said, what are the chances if AEW do go a second show, which of course will not be Dark? They're going to have a fresh new show. What are the chances that Tony Khan purposely goes against NXT should they move nights?
Yeah, I think you might as well put your money on it now, mightn't you? I think it makes sense. That's the one portion of WWE they can actually beat overall. So yeah, if you are.
I've actually lost you for the minute, George, there as well. Sorry about that.
No problem. Okay, so can you hear me now?
I can hear you, yes.
Yeah, so what it would make sense for them to make that move, particularly when they are winning the war against NXT. But for me, I'm interested to see what they do. It may give them another time to be able to put more talent over as well, which could be positive. Doesn't oversaturate.
Absolutely true. Yeah, they won't oversaturate the product there. No, I completely agree with that. Apologies for anyone watching. There has been a little bit of technical difficulty there with the connection there for the last couple of seconds, but hopefully we will keep on track throughout the remainder of the show. But I do think that whatever they do, I think it'll be exciting if they bring another show in for AEW. There is a bundle of wrestling already on a weekly basis, so of course it is always a lot for the fans to take in more. But from an AEW perspective, like you said, they can put more superstars over during that time. They've got more chance to use their roster that they have that can't really get onto Dynamite right now. So I think that it certainly can be a positive step moving forward and even actually benefit their women's division as well. But AEW have a big show this week and they have All Out, which is now set and ready. And it's time to get your thoughts and predictions, George, on the match card. So first off, let's talk about Jon Moxley and MJF. How do you see this playing out?
Obviously, they've had this feud going since July 29th where MJF challenged Moxley. What's really interesting about this is Jon Moxley has never lost a singles match since he joined the company. And he lost since February. When you look at the people he's beat Brody Lee, Brian Cage and Darby Allin. And then you also look at MJF. MJF's another one with a fantastic win record. And he's never lost a sort of singles match, if that makes sense. The only thing I would say of MJF, there is a bit of rim rust there because he's injured. He is on a bit of a tear. So he beat Cody Rhodes, he's beat Jungle Boy, he's beat Adam Page. The way this feud's been built, I've really enjoyed it. I love MJF's microphone work. It's been excellent. For me, I think we're going to get a new champion here. I think this is the time for MJF. And I do think MJF will do what Brody Lee and Brian Cage couldn't by beating Jon Moxley.
Absolutely, sounds a solid prediction indeed. It feels like the time is now, the future is coming for MJF. How do you see the women's match going with Hikaru Shida and, of course, Thunder Rosa, which will be, of course, for the AEW Women's Championship?
Yeah, this is another one. Really, really excited about this match. Obviously, Shahida has not lost a singles match this year. Her last loss was actually in December 2019 where she lost against Statlander, and she's also had this women's title since May 2020. For me, you look at who she's beaten Dr. Britt Baker, Penelope Ford, Nyla Rose, so that's a pretty good resume. And when we look at Thunder Rosa in NWA Power, she never lost a singles match. She's another one that has been on a great roll. She beat such people as ODB, Melina, and she's had the old NWA Power since she won the women's title Hard Times. For me, consider that second, it's a real hard one to pick. But for me, there is only one real winner. I think Hikaru Shida is going to win this. I think it'll be a close match. I think the reason why she will win is I can't see AEW having the women's champion lose when it's their pay-per-view. But I do think this is going to be great exposure for NWA Power when they've got this new series coming soon.
Absolutely, yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. How about the Tag Team Championships? We've got, of course, the champions, Omega and Page. They're going to be defending against FTR. Of course, they've got Tully Blanchard. Are we going to see the top guys with the championships?
Yeah, what a match. So this is a dream match for me. Clearly, Adam Page and Kenny Omega have had the belt since January, where they won it again on the Jericho Cruise, basically. And if you look at this, they've had some great wins this year as well. They beat Pentagon Jr., Ray Phoenix. They beat the Young Bucks at Revolution. And they also beat the Jungle Experience. As a duo, this team haven't lost a match this year, which is quite interesting. They're on quite a roll. And then the last time they actually lost a match was against sort of Sammy Guevara and Chris Jericho back in November. And when we look at the other team, the FTR are yet to have a pay-per-view match. So this will be their debut. They are looking very promising. They have beat Pentagon Jr., Ray Phoenix, have beat Chris Daniels and Frankie Kazarian, and I really think this match is going to be great. If I was going to pick a winner, for me, I think we are going to get new champions here. I do think FTR are going to win this match, and I think this is going to start the singles feud between Adam Page and Kenny Omega, because I really want to see Kenny Omega go back to. For me, he's kind of lost his way a bit since he's been in this tag team, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It feels like the time is right to have them two now go on a singles run, because, I mean, you know, if Moxley retains, I know that we're going to be talking about the Casino Battle Royal in moments, but, you know, we look at it and say that there is not as many top challengers. And, of course, Omega and Hangman, you know, could easily be two top single stars in the company going forward. So it would be interesting to see what happens there if they retain or if they lose. And, of course, they've got so many great tag teams anyway in the division, so that they could use the single stars for the singles run, and they've got many great tag teams that can really hold out that division. There's, you know, so many great tag teams, probably even struggling for TV time. But let's talk about that Casino Battle Royale. So we've got, of course, superstars that are going to be starting 5 in the ring. Then we'll have another 5 join, another 5, another 5, and then we'll have the last entrant of number 21. What are we expecting here? Are we expecting, you know, we've got a number of superstars that have been announced for the match. I believe Darby Allin, Lance Archer, Ricky Starks, as well as Brian Cage, Pentagon, Phoenix, Eddie Kingston, and I believe as well we've got Butcher and the Blade all confirmed at this point. So I think there's at least 11 names confirmed right now. We have got about another 10 to be announced. Do you see any surprises, or do you see that we're going to have a standout victor in amongst the ranks that we've already announced?
I think we're going to have maybe one surprise. The one surprise I would like to punt for would be Eric Corona. I think for me, he's available. It would make sense for him to come in, particularly based on the history he's got with Brody Lee. So I think I'd like to see that. But in terms of a winner, this is so tough. There's many people that can win this, but I have whittled it down to 2 people that I think are most likely to win. And the 2 I went for were Darby Allin, because I think he'd be really good as a babyface challenger for the world title. And also potentially, I think Lance Archer, such a tear, and I think it would be a great dynamic. The only thing that kind of puts me off Archer a little bit is if he's going to face a heel MGF. I'm not too sure how that dynamic will work, really. But for me, it's going to be close. So I'm really looking forward to a great way sort of to get a lot of wrestlers over onto this pay-per-view and give them time in the ring, basically.
Absolutely, indeed. We'll have to be looking forward to seeing what happens there. And I mean, like you said, it could be Darby Allin, it could be Lance Archer. There's certainly many different ways that this could go. Eric Rowan would be a fun surprise if that was to happen as well. But there has been one other name I've seen in the rumor mill only in the last 24 hours. So I've not actually mentioned this in my predictions video either, which is cheap plug, available on the channel right now if you want to see my full predictions. But Pac could be someone that could be on his way back, is rumoured. Would you like to see him turn up in amongst this Casino Royale?
Yeah, I would. I'm a massive fan of him. Clearly, his work before he went was fantastic. So yeah, what a great cameo that would be. Hopefully, that's true.
I hope so as well. How about the Young Bucks against the Jurassic Express?
Okay, so this one here, this is obviously Jurassic Express' first fight since the fight for the Fallen, and they've been losing quite big tag matches. This seems to be the regular theme. They've lost to people such as Kenny Omega, the Inner Circle, which were Jericho and Jack Hager as well. And when you look at the positive, the opposite even, the Young Bucks have beat people such as the Dark Order as recently as 12th of August. They've also beat the Butcher and the Blade. And I think if you look at that, already have beaten Jurassic Express. They had a 6-man tag at Fight for the Fallen as well. So the Jurassic Express cannot seem to win no matter what they do when they're just a team. So for me, I expect them probably to lose here. I think this is going to lead to a Young Bucks versus FTR match, which I think is going to be one of the matches of the year, really. I think that's what they have to do here, really.
I like the sound of that. I think that'd be a really exciting prospect if those teams are against each other going forward, going into the next pay-per-view. You mentioned the Dark Orders, an 8-man tag there involved with them. So Dark Order will be taking on, I believe, the Natural Nightmares of QT Marshall and Dustin Rhodes, as well as that they've got Scorpio Sky and Matt Cardona on that team. How do you see this one playing out?
When we look at it, there's a couple of key elements. So I think the highlights of the match are you got Brody Lee. He's been on a tear since basically since he lost to Moxley at Double or Nothing Part 1. He's been on a great roll. Matt Cardona, this is obviously his first pay-per-view match. He's had one match and he's won it so far. For me, it's really tough. So I think I can't see either one of these two. I think it's going to come down to potentially what they need to do. I think Dark Order have been very sort of unstoppable. So for me, I do see the Dark Order winning, and I see Brody Lee getting the pinfall. The person I think that's getting pinned here, it's going to have to be one of the Natural Nightmares. So I would say QT Marshall probably. But I think this will be a great match. I'm just intrigued to see if we get a sort of a run-in from Cody maybe. I know he's meant to be injured, but maybe this will be the spot for him to come back and kind of try and get some revenge, really.
That would be interesting. It would be a great way to bring Cody back if he is going to, if he's going to sell it. He sold it for a couple of weeks. If he comes back here, certainly would be interesting, and maybe he could chase for that TNT Championship going forward. It's certainly, you expect that this is the start of a rivalry with Dark Order and of course the Nightmare family rather than actually it concluding. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what way it does go. I am excited to see how it's going to play out. What about the Miramosa Mayhem match? Chris Jericho, the inventor that he is, going to be taking on Orange Cassidy. How do you see this one going?
I'm excited for this match. I think it's going to be fun. Clearly, Chris Jericho in the world title in February against Jon Moxley. He's only really sort of lost one match, and he's lost once to Orange Cassidy, which was back on August 12th. Orange Cassidy has been on a bit of a tear. He's only got lost one match since July. His last loss was against Chris Jericho at Fyter Fest Night 2. So they are tied 1-1 going into the decider. For me, they've done a really good job of building this feud up. I like the element of the Minnesota Mayhem element of the 1-1. I think Chris Jericho is going to win this. It makes no sense to me for Orange Cassidy to get the win here. Orange Cassidy already got a win over Chris Jericho. I think Chris Jericho can go on and do far more than Orange Cassidy. I see Jericho win this, but I do see Orange Cassidy getting Jericho in the whole tank of Mimosa. I think that's kind of the way. One of them's going to Mimosa. It just depends on how they do it and who really.
Yeah, absolutely. And it does feel a natural fit that fans would kind of enjoy the heel going in there more than the babyface. So, yeah, I totally see your point there. And another member of the Inner Circle that will be in a match is Sammy Guevara in a Broken Rules match with Matt Hardy. Now, if Matt Hardy is to lose this match, he's done with AEW. What are your thoughts? How do you see it playing out?
Yeah, this match is, there's a lot of intensity. Obviously, there's been a lot of sort of back and forth botches and stuff, but I'm excited to see what happens. Clearly, they've already had this match before. They had a match on May 20th, and they also had a match on August 27th, so they are tied at 1-1. I think for me, when you look at it, Sammy's not lost a match since May 20th. That's quite a long time. But for me, I think we're going to see Hardy leave. As much as I'd love to see sort of Matt Hardy stay in AEW, I think he'll leave for a while, and I can see him coming back in 3 or 4 months. It'll give him a break, and it makes no idea to see Sam lose really, because he's new, he's fresh, he needs to get going up really. He's in the Inner Circle, and for me, I think him losing to Matt Hardy doesn't really do anything for him.
No, I can understand. I think that's a fair point there that you've made with that match there. I'm trying to think if there's any more matches on the main card. I think we've tackled most of the main card, so we'll go with the buy-in. And I believe that match, of course, is going to be a cinematic match, which is one thing we've learned since doing the recordings there. A tooth-and-nail match, which is going to be Dr. Britt Baker against Big Swole. How do you see this one going?
Yeah, very excited by this. Obviously, this match is going to take place in Britt Baker's dentist office, which is different. It's great to see cinematography come to AEW. Obviously, we saw what happened at the stadium match before. That was cinematography. That really was good. I'm excited for this. I think the way it's been built, Britt Baker has had the offense, really. Normally, I would say in this case that usually it'd be her match she should win. But when we look at this is obviously Britt Baker's first pay-per-view match since February. And when we look at this, Big Swole has only lost sort of one match since sort of May 28th this year. So for me, I think Big Swole is going to get a revenge here. I'm excited to see what they do, and it's great to have Britt Baker back, if I may say so.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that she's an asset to that division. It's been unlucky for the AEW Women's division that they've been without Britt Baker for the majority of the summer. She certainly has got a lot to offer. So it's great to have her back. And I think, like you say there, it's certainly will be an interesting way of how they're going to do it. They can make another big star in Big Swole at the same time. So, yeah, it should be really exciting. Is there anything more you'd like to talk about All Out before we close off the show today?
No, really excited for it. Really looking forward to it. It's great to have another AEW pay-per-view.
Certainly, they always seem to deliver, don't they? So I'm looking forward to seeing what they bring to the table this Saturday evening. But just to let you know that there'll be more videos coming up on SCW this week as well. We've got the match card predictions coming up for Impact Wrestling's Bound for Glory. That should be dropping over the next day or so. As well as that, Ask SCW will be back on the weekend as well. So lots to keep an eye out for. Please like, share, and subscribe as well. Keep an eye up to date with everything that's going on with the channel. You can hit the bell as well, so you can be updated when a video is released. If you're listening listening on podcast form, you can always follow us, of course, and always go and check out and subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. We really do appreciate it. Let your friends know as well. Word of mouth really does go a long way in helping to make the channel grow more. So we really are grateful. George, I'm really grateful. Thank you for you being on the show once again. It's been great to have you on board.
No problem. Thank you for having me again. It's been great to chat wrestling.
Absolutely. It's always great fun. And we do make sure that everyone has a great weekend. Hope you'll stay safe out there. Enjoy AEW's All Out pay-per-view. Enjoy SmackDown. And we look forward to seeing you for more videos coming up on the weekend. So take care. Thank you for watching. This has been SCW, the Wrestling Channel. Take care.